It's 8:30 p.m. on a Tuesday evening. Sit alone on your couch, phone in hand. Finish scrolling through social media for the third time in an hour. A feeling of low-level anxiety creeps in. You glance at your bank account on your phone. You mentally tally up your expenses, rent, car payment, groceries. You realize you have only $42 left until Friday. You sigh and think, I need a side hustle. You start searching online for side hustle ideas. Consider driving for Uber. You imagine the costs, gas, car maintenance, and messy passengers. You realize Uber would only net you about $11 an hour. You look into freelancing on Upwork. You see thousands of competitors for a $5 logo design job. You feel discouraged by the competitive gig economy. You reflect on the pressure to find a disruptive or scalable side hustle. You picture people chasing crypto AI, dropshipping, and tech-heavy trends. You think about the possibility of a boring, overlooked opportunity. A graphic appears. The boring side hustle. Mobile notary and loan signing agent. Nick appears, introducing himself. Nick explains he thinks about boring systems and personal freedom. Nick encourages viewers tired of hustle culture to subscribe and like the video. Nick challenges the idea that you need rare skills to make good money. Nick introduces the concept of professional friction. Nick explains that people pay to make processes faster and more legally sound. Nick identifies paperwork as the biggest source of professional friction. Nick emphasizes paperwork that requires a witness. Nick introduces the role of the mobile notary. Nick anticipates skepticism about notaries making little money. Nick distinguishes between a desk notary and a mobile notary loan signing agent. Nick leans forward, getting more intense. Nick explains the real estate process: buying, selling, refinancing homes. Nick describes stacks of documents needing signatures for real estate transactions. Nick notes mortgage, title companies, and banks require verified signatures. Nick points out people prefer signing documents at home, not at offices. Nick explains the convenience factor. Notaries come to clients' homes. Nick reveals title companies pay $75 to $200 per appointment for this service. Nick does the math. 3 loan signings a week at $150 each. Calculates $450 from loan signings. Nick adds 1 or 2 general notary acts at $50 each. Nick totals $550 a week from notary work. Nick projects $2,200 a month in extra income. Nick contrasts financial stress with financial freedom from extra income. Nick imagines viewers using extra money for savings and vacations. Nick cautions viewers not to rush into becoming a notary without understanding the psychology. Nick warns about the challenges like printer jams. Nick sets up the importance of understanding why the side hustle works. Nick prepares to explain the deeper psychology behind the opportunity. A person sits at a desk, looking contemplative, surrounded by paperwork and a computer. The person glances at a clock, showing the end of a typical workday. A thought bubble appears, illustrating the concept of trading time for a flat rate as an employee. A budget spreadsheet appears, with the person's name as a line item. The scene shifts to the same person, now dressed more professionally, holding a notary stamp and folder. The person is shown solving a complex logistical puzzle, representing the role of a mobile notary. A title officer is seen anxiously reviewing a $500,000 real estate deal on their computer. 2 doctors in scrubs are shown working in a busy hospital, unable to leave. The title officer looks relieved as a notary arrives, paperwork in hand. A thought bubble shows the title officer focusing on the $5,000 commission, not the $150 notary fee, a visual metaphor. The notary is depicted as the last-mile delivery person in a relay race, handing off documents. A montage of people yawning or looking bored at the idea of folders, blue ink, pens, and traffic. A statistic appears. 45% of Americans have a side hustle. Bar graph shows the median side hustle income at $200 a month. People are shown choosing easy, low-friction side hustles like food delivery or online surveys. A visual comparison. Low-friction hustles are depicted as a crowded, slow-moving escalator. A single person takes a staircase labeled boring friction, the path less traveled. A checklist appears. Get a commission. Pass a background check. Learn to read a closing disclosure. Nick stands up from his desk, determined, and walks to a whiteboard. Nick gestures to the whiteboard, ready to address common objections. Speech bubbles appear with skeptical questions about the housing market and interest rates. A flashback. Notaries during the 2% interest rate gold rush. Stacks of cash and busy schedules. The gold rush fades, replaced by a steady, sustainable business scene. A montage of people selling houses, moving for work, and starting families. A family is shown buying a new home, signing documents with a notary. A couple renovates their home, signing a HELOC with a notary present. An elderly person finalizes a reverse mortgage with a notary's help. A family settles an estate, signing living trust documents. A visual contrast. People stop buying $7 lattes, but continue with essential legal signings. Nick faces the camera, promising actionable steps. Numbered list appears on screen as Nick begins explaining. Step 1. A person fills out an online application for a notary commission. A map highlights different states, showing varying requirements. Person takes an online course, then receives a certificate. A proctored exam scene for California applicants. Person pays fees and receives a notary seal, bond, and insurance. Step 2. The person enrolls in a loan signing agent certification course. Certificate from the National Notary Association appears. The person practices handling a mortgage document stack, checking for signatures. Split screen shows the difference in pay. $15 hour Vs, $75 hour. Step 3. The person shops for printers, comparing inkjet and dual tray laser models. A frustrated person struggles with a cheap inkjet printer and jammed paper. A satisfied person uses a dual tray laser printer, printing a large stack of documents. A close-up of 2 paper sizes, letter and legal. Step 4. The person receives a text from a signing service. Loan signing. 10 miles away, $100, accept. The person accepts the job and prepares their notary kit. Montage of the person driving to various signings, meeting clients, and notarizing documents. The person walks into a title office carrying a box of donuts. The person introduces themselves to the staff, handing out business cards. The staff smiles, and the person is welcomed as their go-to notary. A final comparison, the $100 fee from signing services versus the $200 fee from going direct. The person looks confident and satisfied, having made the psychological shift from employee to service provider. A person drives up to a beautiful home for the first time, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. The person is greeted at the door by a smiling couple, clearly excited about buying their first house. Everyone sits at a table with a stack of documents ready to be signed. The couple spends 50 minutes carefully signing papers, occasionally asking questions. The notary checks each page, making sure all signatures are in place. The notary receives a confirmation on their phone. Payment of $150 has been processed. The notary steps outside, pausing in the driveway with a look of disbelief and satisfaction. A thought bubble appears. Earning money doesn't have to be a 40-hour slog. The notary reflects on the simplicity of the math of freedom. A split screen shows 2 options: cutting expenses drastically versus earning extra money. The cutting expenses side shows someone sadly canceling insurance, skipping meals, and living in a tent. The earning extra side shows the notary working a few focused hours and smiling with cash in hand. A calendar flips through the week, highlighting just 4 to 5 hours of work needed. The notary faces a mental hurdle, seeing themselves as just an office worker. A mirror shows their reflection changing into a public official with a notary seal. The notary stands taller, realizing their new professional identity. The notary attends another signing, this time with confidence and authority. Stacks of real estate documents are spread out. The notary examines them closely. The notary notices the high interest rates and title insurance fees on the documents. A light bulb appears over the notary's head. I'm getting paid to learn how the wealthy move money. Nick appears, looking frustrated, as if trying to wake up the viewer. Nick gestures emphatically, emphasizing that the side hustle isn't glamorous. A phone screen shows Instagram with mobile notary in the bio and 0 new followers. A bank account screen shows a growing balance, contrasting with the lack of social media attention. Flashbacks show people paying off student loans, celebrating with their families. Another person uses notary income to support their dream business, working on a project late at night. A montage of people grinding at traditional jobs, looking exhausted and unfulfilled. A contrasting montage shows notaries efficiently completing signings and enjoying free time. A checklist appears: commission, laser printer, reliable car. Money flows in as a result of these simple inputs. A skeptical person asks, "What's the catch?" A notary double-checks a signature, realizing they missed one and feeling anxious. The notary drives back to a client's house to fix the mistake. A notary nervously knocks on a stranger's door, preparing to talk to new people. A calculator appears, showing the need to set aside money for taxes. Car odometer spins, tracking mileage for tax deductions. A tax form highlights the 67 cents per mile deduction. A split screen compares the catch of notary work with the catch of working a hated job for decades. The notary shrugs off printer jams and traffic, preferring them to long-term drudgery. Nick leans in, his expression softening as he speaks directly to the viewer. Nick reassures the viewer that they have more control over their lives than they think. A person looks at their salary, feeling trapped, then looks up with new determination. A notary receives a layoff notice but calmly pulls out their notary commission and certification. The notary starts calling title companies, setting up appointments. Cash begins to flow in again, alleviating financial stress. A classroom scene. Nick explains that real financial education is about generating value in the real world. A person watches Nick's video, then hesitates before scrolling away. The viewer opens a laptop and searches how to become a notary in your state. They review the costs and check their bank account balance. The viewer weighs the decision. Invest a few $100s in hours of study for $500 a week. The viewer types "boring is better" in the comments, making a mental commitment. A list of recommended gear appears: printers, bags, pens. The viewer closes the laptop, feeling empowered and ready to take action. Nick smiles and thanks the viewer for watching, promising more practical advice in the next video.